Up to this point in his life, the Apostle Paul is a man in constant motion. He has spent years crossing the Mediterranean, planting new churches, and building a massive following across the Gentile world. This specific journey is defined by its efficiency. He maintains a straight maritime course through the islands of Kos and Rhodes before making port at Patara. But when he lands at the city of Tyre, the forward momentum stalls. His own supporters, speaking through the Spirit, beg him to turn back. They warn him that proceeding to Jerusalem is entirely unsafe, which presents a bizarre scenario. Why would a leader at the height of his influence actively ignore his closest allies to march straight into a hostile capital? The answer takes shape at his final stop before Jerusalem, the coastal city of Caesarea. Here, the vague warnings turn into a highly specific threat. A Judean prophet named Agabus tracks Paul down. Without saying a word, he walks up and confiscates Paul's belt. Agabus uses it to tie his own hands and feet together. It is a physical demonstration of what awaits Paul. The local Jewish authorities in Jerusalem are going to capture him and hand him over to the foreign Roman government. His followers are in tears. Paul shuts them down. He tells them he is entirely prepared to wear those chains and even to die for his mission. He knows exactly what is waiting for him. The trip to Jerusalem is a calculated walk into a political and religious powder keg. When he arrives, the local church leadership briefs him on a massive internal crisis. Thousands of Jewish residents have joined their movement, but these locals still fiercely and strictly observe the laws of Moses, and a dangerous rumor is circulating. The locals have heard that Paul is traveling abroad, actively instructing Jewish populations to abandon their ancient customs and stop circumcising their children. To defuse the tension, the leader, James, proposes a highly public gesture. He asks Paul to sponsor 4 men undergoing a strict multi-day purification ritual, covering all their temple expenses. The logic is straightforward. If the masses see Paul actively participating in the rituals and paying the temple fees, they will clearly see that the rumors of his rebellion are false. It is a massive risk. The leadership is betting that a visible act of appeasement can bridge an explosive ideological divide. Paul agrees and heads into the massive complex of the Jerusalem temple to peacefully complete the ritual. But near the end of the 7-day process, a group of foreign Jews visiting from the province of Asia spot him in the courtyards. These men had seen Paul walking through the city earlier with Trophimus, a man from Ephesus. Based entirely on that previous sighting, they leap to the conclusion that Paul has smuggled a foreigner past the barricades into the restricted sacred zones. The accusation is baseless, but it works instantly. A city-wide panic erupts. A mob forms, tackles Paul, drags him outside the sacred precinct, and the temple doors are slammed shut behind him. The attempt to publicly keep the peace does the exact opposite. In a highly polarized city, the effort to compromise provides the exact spark needed to start a riot. The violence alerts the Roman military garrison stationed next door. The chief captain deploys his soldiers immediately, intervening to neutralize a threat to state security. They plunge into the mob, extract Paul from the beatings, and lock him in double chains. The crowd is surging so violently that the soldiers physically have to carry him up the fortress stairs to escape. The commander tries to interrogate the crowd, but the noise is deafening. Half the people scream one charge, the other half yell something else. The confusion is so complete that the Roman captain assumes Paul is an infamous Egyptian assassin who recently led 4,000 armed rebels into the wilderness. The empire's military machine is entirely blind to the theological dispute. They are using brute force to treat the symptom of the riot while completely misunderstanding the disease. Bloodied and chained on the steps of the Roman barracks, Paul stops. He turns to the commander and calmly asks for permission to address the mob that just tried to kill him. He corrects the captain's wild assumption. He isn't an Egyptian terrorist. He is a legitimate Jew and a citizen of Tarsus, a legally protected city. The surprised commander grants him leave. Paul turns around, raises his hand to the violent crowd below, and begins speaking to them in their native Hebrew tongue. A massive silence falls over the square. By asserting his civic rights, he transforms a chaotic near-lynching into a protected platform for his defense. This arrest marks a permanent change in his lifestyle. The years of traveling freely across the Mediterranean to plant new communities are over. From this point on, he remains in custody. His methodology shifts accordingly. He trades the pulpit for the prison cell and the open road for the courtroom. Though he loses his liberty, the Riot gives him a stage his travels could not provide. By being taken into Roman custody, his defense is no longer just a local matter. It is now an official concern of the state. His journey into the temple wasn't a tactical failure. It was the moment his work transitioned from regional preaching to a legal process that would eventually force his message before the highest authorities in the empire.